Work can be unsanitary and dangerous, not much money and long working time. However, for farmers, this is the best job in the world. We're going to spend a year with the farmers, cattle farmers. It's October, and the monsoon depression in the Atlantic, it makes the weather very severe. The latest storm just passed through the night, but it has left more rain than usual. I can't leave them here right now. I've got to get them to the top of the hill, a slightly drier place, and hopefully they won't do too much damage. The animals are usually kept in cages throughout the winter to protect the ground. Day and night temperature, it's about 5 degrees higher than normal, and David didn't want to put his cattle in the barn. Avoid the cold this winter. We now have about 40 Abedin cattle, and some calves. After 18 months, the cow will be slaughtered, and the bulls are kept longer, feeding time from 1 to 2 months. We used to be farmers, but since 2000, we stopped when wheat reached a value of €100 a ton. With us, this is not a sustainable development, so we decided to change and go the organic way. I think the breed of cattle is the most important. It affects the taste, whether it's organic or not. Grazing time is also important. Actually, like Abedin cattle, it's very suitable for organic farming. Because they don't need special care, they quickly reach the adult stage. I love farming, but every year, the job gets harder. That's the biggest minus. But definitely, farming is in my blood. That's really the only thing I want to do. Cows are my favorite job of most of the farmers in Ireland. There's a tile there, and a pipeline out into the field, with the pebbles above. Water flows in, provides moisture to the soil, and flows out here. It's been here a long time, between 1805 and 1810. Exactly 200 years ago, during the Napoleonic Wars, this land was used to grow wheat for high-value output. I think it's a unique field. We are to manufacture and compete with the best wheat in the world. In terms of quality, agriculture is a combination of economics, politics, and science, and family history. I think there's no field. There's a combination of factors. It's so important to the human spirit. Look at the works of Cicero or Horace. They're all talking about the value of farming, and I can understand why they think that. Outside of work in magazines, Matt also raised cows of the Charolais breed, Limousin and Belmont Blue for export. We buy the Y and Lynn bulls, live well, and fatten them from 18 to 20 months of age. Let the experts examine the Italians. Supermarkets in Italy. I come here every year to check it out. Is the feed input eligible? The condition of the livestock is suitable. And yes, according to their requirements. Then we give them on that basis. As soon as appropriate, usually around the time of June to September. Matt's system belongs to the high market segment, beef exports. It's not a strange field for farmers. Irish people We export 90% of all beef is slaughtered. We are the third largest exporter of beef, fourth in the world. It depends on how it's calculated, and so far the exporter, largest meat in the Northern Hemisphere. Most of our beef will have the highest price in stores in Europe, where it's crowded, recognized by consumers as being of high quality. Beef production in Ireland. It's an export sector with a turnover of 1.5 billion. They produce 500,000 tons of beef. The supply of this export industry is quite with special. Some farms capable of breeding cattle over 100. The rest are mostly small-scale farms. Department of Agriculture estimates about 25,000 cows. It can be bigger, it can be smaller, but it gives us a very close estimate. If we talk about the number of farmers, the number can be up to 30 for 10,000. There's a lot of people who have land. There are other jobs besides farming. To the body. I want to be a cow farmer, the real industry. But it's not just the economic environment that's holding you back. I'm standing where I used to be, a field about 10 days ago. We have a lake that goes up to 800 meters, but it's increased in size a little bit due to flooding. My farm is in the center of North Mayo, in a place called La Hat Den, between Mount Neffen and Lake Lapcon. I'm currently farming at about 100 hectares, half of which we own, half for rent. About 60% of the area is mountains with rugged terrain, so it's very difficult to graze. We pasture sheep in the mountains. The rest is in lower ground. We're primarily grazing livestock. It takes a lot of time. The new land became dry. It's the end of May and the beginning of June. We have to wait for spring to come and think about grazing again. Most likely this year, the amount of grass that grows in the spring is very small. The average farm in Ireland is 32.3 hectares. Before there was a land law in the late 19th century, farms are often located in large plots belonging to the same owner. The land has been divided and given to the farmers. So we have a network of small family farms. It's not just the size, it's the separation. I've got 11 different pieces of land. Sometimes they're a mountain apart, but they're mostly connected by roads. That's what most farms in Ireland are like. When the farms were subdivided raw in the period. Land trust. Each of you is given some land here, some land in Kier. It's a big challenge. It makes life a little harder. After Ireland gained independence, even medium-sized farms, according to the standard, continues to be divided today. According to land trust regulations on the whole country, farmers from flooded counties in the west, it's moved to the east and south, divided into smaller farms. Now, after looking back, we can see this makes the structure of the farms less competitive, but it created the structure, family farms as they are today. Throughout November, the weather is constantly wet. The heavy rain, 7 often caused rainfall to reach 10 millimeters, happens almost every day in Connacht and Munster provinces. The size of the farm is shrinking. It's becoming a problem in flooded districts. Guns in the west. In Peter Square County, Galway, Michael Coleman's farm is underwater. This is the biggest flood I've ever seen. In 1900, we had a big flood. I thought that nothing could be bigger than that flood. But the water level was still 45 millimeters lower than gasoline compared to this flood. Justin Flannery, my neighbor next door, came and took the cows away, put them in a warehouse with a drain. I got 20 cows from him, and I put them in a cage, feed them, take care of them for him. Until the flood recedes, he went back to get the cow, and the farm is back to normal. You won't be able to understand how bad it really is if it doesn't happen to you. unless you are under the influence of the flood, and you never know what you're going to see. When I wake up in the morning, that's really scary. When autumn is over, the flood brings fear. And the landscape became strangely quiet, but this is not the time. The worst weather in winter. It's December, and the front of the page. Michael Coleman's camp is still flooded. I think last Friday. It's the time when the water level is highest. Then the water level dropped about 5 millimeters. Yes, the water level has risen about half a meter. I don't think this is working. Last month, Matt Aaron has counted 30 days of continuous rain, and the Valencia Observatory recorded the highest monthly rainfall since the observatory started operating in 1866. However, near the end of December, the floods are finally starting to recede. And just before Christmas, Michael can bring his cattle back home. It's been 3 weeks since the neighbors took them away. I'm glad they're back. I've prepared some straw for them. The neighbors brought it to me, a man from Westford, with a whole haystack truck. The generosity of neighbors, there is no limit. The weather is not the only thing. Challenge the farmers. The price of beef is also important. At Capital Supermarket, Justin McCarthy, editor of the Farmers Magazine, are explaining to the farmers how they can increase productivity. I always tell people that there's important factors related to profit. That's the cost of production, performance, and the price they get for their product. Where production costs and performance, there are 2 things they can control. And we need to make sure they're doing the right thing. It depends on the price at the time. It's an adult cow will cost about 11,001,400 euros for 2 tuba weeks. When the animal is sold on the retail market, it can cost 26,002,700 euros. That's what farmers want. They don't necessarily want consumers to pay more money. They want to get the price they deserve. Even the most productive farmers, they still can't make a profit. It's basically not enough to cover the family. That's why so many farms, and the vast majority of dairy farmers must have an off-farm source of income. In Mayo, the biggest challenge for Green Coolin, the size of the farm. I just wish my land was a square, and it's in the same place. I see other farmers like that, and they don't take advantage of it. For example, when I want to move my cows, I have to ask someone else for help while they just open a gate. Very simple. That would be a big limitation. And I think this is the responsibility of the government. They can encourage exchange of land between farmers or something like that. Now you're paying a lot of taxes if you do that, and it's completely impossible. I think it's kind of confusing because we clearly have an opportunity to increase production and the efficiency of farms. And finally, the whole country's export sector. But the government doesn't seem to have any intention of doing this. The size of the farm as it is today, a lot of farmers use machines to increase productivity. Even when there is snow, eating out is not a problem for the farmer. If he had a tractor, you can see that the development of modern technology and machinery, that the man, a working person, can do a lot of activities. So if you don't have the scale of a business to be able to pay a worker working full-time, there will be a problem immediately. Prices in the market tend to self-adjust to keep effective in business. So if you don't get optimal performance, you can see your standard of living plummeting. And that's a long-standing problem with the livestock industry in Ireland. The size of an average herd is 17 cows. There are up to 45 coolants. There's a farmer who owns 20 cows. They're struggling to do everything. There are also farmers be able to organize better. I can manage 150 cows on my own. So I think the decisive factor lies with the farmer and the number of cattle that he has. The beef production model is quite simple. For every cow, you can hope to create a calf. This year, I think there's been 40 for calves out of 45 cows. So the results aren't too bad. There are years where you can have twins, but then you can lose 1 or 2 bees. So you'd expect the birth rate to be 100% successful, 78%. The bees are born between January and May. Oha, Doro Launis. Dominic was delighted when their cows have successfully given birth. We have a male calf. It's got a very interesting name, Valentine. Bless him. Bless him. He's not going to thank us on Valentine's Day, but not SAO. Cows have just given birth, and there are about 7 calves were born normally. It all comes out of itself naturally. A wonderful thing. While Dominic, Eli's wife, is in the hospital. Dominic runs the farm and takes care of the children. Dominic's family has 2 daughters, and the eldest daughter is the father squirrel. I am excited to welcome my brother home. But first, the squirrels. You need to finish school. Dominic had to come back quickly to meet a group of farmers. I'm interested in your beef business. Dominic is an unusual farmer. I took over our farm when I was 30. He had no breeding experience at the time. At first, I struggled to learn everything because I don't know anything about breeding. But then I started to acquire knowledge. And after 6 months, I decided to stay. More than 20 more are coming. Most of them will be born around the end of March because I've been putting 2 bulls in for 2 months, and they're usually quick to act. Without experience, or perhaps because Dominic was determined to make the farm a success, and currently it's turned into a mixed family farm, including pig farming, sheep farming, and even cattle herding. The main focus is to feed the cows. They gave a lot of compliments to my farm. It's pretty good. As winter approaches, Dominic moves some cattle to the factory. I want to take Eli and Valentine home. And all the cattle farmers, we all want the grass to grow again. It's spring, and many cows are still pregnant. Beef farmers have a number of options. When choosing males for breeding, these bulls provide semen for the farmer to do the insemination. Artificial. The first thing we did is to collect 10 sperm from the bulls. We do this for days a week, Tuesday to Friday, and then we put it in the lab, handling and packaging. We have a distribution point where we distribute semen for salespeople and technicians. Artificial intelligence, estimated about 15% to 20% of total cattle. It's the result of artificial insemination. A fair amount of semen from the bull. It's going to be taken to the lab right now to handle. Different species have different characteristics, different personalities, artificial intelligence. Make the choice. These characteristics become simpler. People are looking for the lucky cows, cattle, or dairy. Some people are looking for cows to sell for direct export. Some looking for a cow that can make a calf. The alternative, or they find a cow to slaughter for meat. For cows sold to households, people mainly look for ones that are of equal weight. With age, they're looking for breeds, have an age-appropriate weight. By using artificial intelligence, the farmer can choose the target as any characteristic from easy to give birth to good growth and good food metabolism. But whatever it is, you can't predict what's going to happen when the cow gives birth. The cow of gasoline is in trouble, but it doesn't want any help. With a tough cow, Colin made a wise decision when he was having trouble laying gasoline. Ask the neighbors to help. We noticed a leg sticking out, but nothing else happened. So we put the cow in the barn, hold the head, and help it lay. We decided to pull a little bit. Finally, we had to give birth to get the calf out. When the legs come out first, it's a little bit complicated because this doesn't happen very often. Normally, they'll go in the right direction. The head comes out first, then the front legs. And even if they're stuck in the back leg, they can breathe and survive. But if the back leg comes out first, it's more complicated because the umbilical cord gets stuck. The head is still inside the womb. If the calf starts breathing, it'll inhale amniotic fluid and it'll choke. It's more stable now, but a little tired after being pulled out. After 10 to 15 minutes, it'll be fine. Unfortunately, 15 minutes later, seems to have died, but the cow doesn't come close. The birth season is certainly the most risky time. On the farm, where is Ollie Lundruin coming back from the hospital? But now, there was a more serious accident involving Dominic. Friday morning, I went downstairs with my daughter, and down the stairs, I saw Dominic lying unconscious in a pool of blood on the floor. We think he was in the cage, with a cow laying. He tried to pee for it. It looks like one of the mother cows attacked, made him bang his head against the cement wall. He cracked his skull. It's an open wound on the head, and the skull is cracked. He was taken to Port Louis Hospital. And from there, it's taken to the Buttocks Hospital for urgent surgery. It was quite difficult because they had to anesthetize him, but unfortunately he's infected, and then passed out. He wasn't under anesthesia. He was unconscious. We were very worried, but eventually he started to recover. So we were much more assured. Everything is very difficult because our family has just reunited. After a long time in the hospital, now it's his turn to go to the hospital. It's very difficult for the kids, especially father. I'm 16 years old, and I was there when we found out about him. So the last image of your father was quite haunting. I was sick and panicked. I even said, I won't see you again. It will be hard to calm you down. I don't know what I said. I tried to tell you for sure. We'll see you, Dad, even though I didn't know then. Accidentally, Dominic has become a very real example. For statistics on accidents in the agricultural industry, there are an average of 24 deaths per year, and the mission, more serious accidents. He knows the potential dangers and had experience. We only have a small herd of cattle, and he understands them very well. So this was quite a surprise to us. He's not a bewildered farmer. With a new herd of cows, one of the cows became, I don't know how to describe it. They become more terrifying. Farmers who are herding livestock, experience suggests that when a cow attacks that AI, they'll be a little bolder, and maybe they will attack others again. I'll definitely keep the kids away until they figure out how to deal with that cow. I want to get rid of it. If I had a gun, I would have shot it. I'm sure after Dominic came back, I'll tell him he shouldn't go to the temple alone anymore because he won't remember. The problem is he won't remember anything. I would say that he can't tag the cows himself anymore. There's got to be that AI around when he does this. Because of the difficult financial situation on most farms, there is usually only one worker. Tagging is one of the jobs that farmers do. To do it alone, David Johnson is aware of the danger, but the regulations require cattle to be tagged. I had to mark the cow, and she wrote down her number and calves in the future. We know which one is the mother cow. A cow weighing 500 kilograms, even though it only. Curious, what is the farmer doing with his children? Its power is still a danger. Need to unwind. You're fine over here. When David did the castration of B, it's even more dangerous. At this age, it's much easier to do because its genitals are quite small. Although now, a lot of farmers raise bulls, so they don't even need castration. But it's much easier to do this when they're small. Lower likelihood of being hit by a rock. Most farmers have to do this without any trouble. It's just work to be done. If you're alone, you have to put your hands up. But just an aggressive cow, and you can see how easily accidents happen. Fortunately, the spring weather gets better. Dominic's health also improved. After 6 weeks of coma, he was transferred from the intensive care unit in the local hospitals in Poland. It's been 8 weeks since the cow caused me an accident. I have a wound in the back of my head. It's a very fine stitch. I have no memory of what happened. As I know, I'm trying to tag a calf and a cow. I objected. It pushed me against the wall. And then I tried to run into the house and pass out. And so worth investigating. God saw me in that situation. I've touched some cows before. But usually I can get out or step back a little. I'm normally quite careful. But I may have been in a hurry this time. Other than finding out what happened to me, Dominic also found out how well Eli ran the company. As you can see, I've got a lot of help today. That's amazing. James is shaving his sheep because he knows Dominic's not here. He invited a friend, and Dominic's friend, Nick, came to help us feed the pigs and check the situation. It was great that he stayed this morning. I feel a little guilty because he also has his own farm, but still come help me. I had no idea she'd managed so well. Now I've seen it and know that she's running it really well, because even though SAO, she's very capable. Now I believe she's doing a good job. At first I thought, God, I don't know if she'll manage with running the farm and how to take care of the kids. Minik said it's enough to feed the animals. I know he won't be upset. When I say that, I'm managing things pretty well. Maybe not perfect, but every job, it's all done somehow. Maybe a little slower than usual, but that's the only downside. I know, God, I love her. She's feeding the baby, taking care of the other two. And at the same time run the farm. I took him out to give him breakfast, and it was fun to go for a walk. So I think everything's fine. And the sheep aren't so bad. If it's cattle, I'm not letting it out. I wouldn't feel safe. This event has changed my priorities. I want to be with the kids more. I want to spend more time with Ollie. Before, farming was almost my #1 priority. But after this accident, the priorities changed. Life was so good, but that's not my life. Maybe Ollie will be glad to know. It's summer, and the plot in front of Michael Coleman's ranch, it was finally dry. 7 months ago, the fields were under 18 meters of water. But today, after collecting the right straw, and the weather became dry, Michael doesn't walk in the water anymore. I couldn't sleep or eat for a week by the rising flood. It's bad. When covering the straw, with the help of the neighbor, Michael was worried that the rain would come again. Maybe it will happen again this year. We're preparing to deal with it. And he's also worried about the future of the industry. Animal husbandry. You're not going to get rich from farming. It used to be easier to raise livestock from about 30, 45 years ago because there were no expenses like now. We have to pay insurance and taxes. People used to have everything. Self-growing vegetables, milk self-milking butter self-made cattle self-raising poultry. Even though there are many difficulties and worries, but at 74, Michael still has no plans to retire. I wouldn't trade this job. Take any other job. This is a wonderful life. It's just that there's never a lot of money. Small-scale livestock households must have a very strong spirit. John Bryan, president of the Irish Farmers Association, knows this. Average income of a farmer in Ireland. Last year, it was about 12,000 euros. That's about a third of the industry average. Last year, the price of beef in a ripe year 80 is 2.801 kilogram. 30 years later, it's €3 a kilogram. Wages didn't even rise 10% after 30 years. While the industry average wage, year 1980, it's about 4,000 to 5,000 euros. There should have been a reduction in costs. Cost to produce beef, cost to produce milk. Last year, all our products were sold at a price lower than the cost of production. It's not sustainable for a long time. if you choose the right bull like me. I have 70 cows like that. It's better than artificial insemination. The boys do their job well by taking the cows into the artificial insemination system. They will manage their work better. It's entirely possible. But to have the maximum number of bees, you've got to have a healthy bull. If you have a healthy bull, it won't make you 7. Livestock is for a living. They also expect to make a lot of money. You can't continue to work when the product is below the cost of production. You need to cover your expenses and get a profit. At the 5 Cup TGAS Research Center, thousands of farmers. I'm attending a beef industry exhibition in the hope of finding a way to make a profit. We're trying to figure out what's going to happen with the quality and nutrition of grass. That's what I want you to understand. The grass also has a shelf life. Shang Colin made the journey north from Mayo to see how the farmers here live. This is the most amazing land in the country. Our land is more mountainous. There are many different obstacles, and the mountains stand in the way. That's the best we can have. Dairy cattle, Patrick. It's one of the leading research projects in Texas. A select herd of cattle to test a cattle breeding system and high-profit grass feeding. What is going on? Come out here to prove to the farmers. See a lot of things. We can show them about the animals. On grassland management activities to achieve the goal, the height of grass, the width of the pasture. Then they can about apply to their farm. The goal of the project is to create a herd of cattle likely to achieve a gross profit of 1,000 euros. Scale is a problem in Ireland. There's a limited amount of land here, and the goal is to maximize output with the lowest cost. So basically, we've got to have a fairly high maximum use of grazing land. This grass is 80% dry matter, like leaves. Here we have 65 kilos of freshly cut grass this morning. It'll produce about 12 kilograms of hay. Enough for a bull or cow weighing 600 kilograms, eating in a day. We've read about this system and be introduced to it, but you really need to see it with your own eyes. I want to bring it back to my farm. The way to apply scientific for most technology. Farmers, it's been a long time. In addition to running large research projects, Texas also helps farmers like gasoline on the farm. We found that the average elevation of grasslands is now 11 cubic meters of gasoline. This is altitude grazing. The target altitude is 1,012 cubic meters. It's quite important. There aren't too many farmers like Sean now. It's good to be a young farmer like you, a new generation of farmers ready to do anything, which involves growing grass at standard altitude. So the income equation is basically 2/3 productivity. The other is price and cost. Farmers in Ireland, because we're a trading nation, they have no effect on input prices or the price they get for their products. The only thing they can change is performance. There's an unwritten rule in agriculture that don't be the first to try something new. Don't be the last to get rid of the old. I think this is the farmer's attitude for the innovation. They will wait for their neighbors or pre-experimental research groups. Then it changed. $50,000 guests gathered to see the cows, the best of the country, at the National Livestock Show in Tulamo. Young farmer Neil Kenning and his father is celebrating the beef breed. They won their first award. Livestock seems to be going well. My cow became the September champion. We're having a little party at Rose's today in Sligo. Now we're the winners in Ireland. We have a Red Rose medal. With such good livestock, it's easy to understand at SAO Irish with an export value of 1.5 billion, however. This is a structured industry based on a model that's probably more relevant to the 19th century. The farm was bought by my father's grandfather. My father used to tell me that when I went through the gate, he used to look at this place and say he wants to farm it or own it someday. The farm was sold and he bought it. It takes a long time to be able to save enough money to pay about 2.5 generations, so I consider myself extremely lucky. If you buy land on the market, you need to focus on business ability. Even the commercial farmers, I'd advise them not to value that land. Of course, if you have to rent the land or buy the land, you'll definitely have to price it. Emphasis must be placed on the profitability of the investment. Based solely on criteria such as beneficiary inheritance and farmers depend on subsidies. Efficiency of the beef industry. Ask a lot of questions. The current subsidy system to encourage less productive farmers between their land, reducing supply and curbing expansion. I don't want to think about it. I would insult my intelligence if we don't do that. Not just for business reasons, but for practical reasons. As time goes by, animal husbandry has become a profession. It's a pretty special place. Unfortunately, the income is not very good. With motivated, educated farmers, people who watch agriculture, it's a business. They've got to have a startup entrepreneur's view. The future is expanding because, after all, the world's population is growing. And there's a challenge. It's about making sure there's enough food. We are the best exporters in the world. So if farmers can seize the opportunity, I have no doubt that they will have a very good future. Shang Cullen is a young farmer to be educated and motivated. You can represent for the future of agriculture in Ireland. Unfortunately, with the limited size of his farm and access to capital for expansion is zero. Gasoline was forced to seize another chance to survive, a non-agricultural job. I'm currently working on the island of Scotland. I have a job there, and it's not too heavy. I got a job offer if I could leave for a while. And I find that there's not a lot of things holding me here. With the current state of agriculture, the salary is very helpful. Very few young people are involved in agriculture. That's a problem. We need replacements. We need to change our thinking. I think farmers realize that. That's a concern. But we need to consider how we can free up land for long-term rental. You'll have to be optimistic. The general situation is that the population is growing in wealth, increased the ability to pay, and increased demand for food that we're capable of producing. That brings a standard of living better for people. The farmer is not. That's another problem. A year with cattle farmers about to end. Questions about the results of the structure. Family farm in Ireland. I have to put it aside. The number of floods has decreased. Perform mowing measurements and increase productivity. Will help the beef farmers. There is a chance to exist, but it's the farmer's spirit and the power of their families. It makes us optimistic. Dominic's back on the farm. Which one is it? I highly suspected it was the culprit. My husband and I spent almost a year in the hospital. Yes, I know about the dangers, but I also know that I can live with them. The head, my poor, will never be the same again. But not at all. And ever since I knew that, Ollie, I know what I'm doing on the farm. I can trust Ollie more. I knew that. She's also capable of farm management. Giving up at this stage is crazy. We've invested a lot of effort, and it's almost become our life. We were really lucky. We had Valentine, and I ended up back on the farm. We value the Kier more. I always respected his decision. Yes, I think my priorities have changed.